Good morning. Good morning. We are ready for the morning sesh. What did I call this one? Live, the morning sesh. Love, laugh, and dab. Let's do this, Drake.
I'm in. And I couldn't remember what we talked about if my life depended on it, but I'm sure whatever you call it is great. My brain
I forgot.
doesn't work.
Let's get chat pulled out, by the way. Let's get chat. Let's get everything shared out. Let's do that before we dab here real quick. Get all that information out. Get live chat up and not top chat. Let's pop that out. Get that going. Got live chat up. Now we're going to be ready to go. Let's go on the dab. What are you dabbing this morning, Drake?
I think I'm going to go in on some pink gas right off the bat. How about yourself?
What do I want to go in? I think I'm going to go in on this cherry number 18. Flower rosin that I pressed out. It's been treating me pretty nicely. It's quite elevating. Good morning, CBC. Good morning, Bingo. Hello. Good morning, John. Overcare, overshare, overgrow. How's that go? I should know it by now.
Everywhere, worldwide.
Worldwide. There you go. Yeah. Worldwide.
All right.
What's up, you all? What are y'all puffing on? Are you puffing with us this morning? What are you smoking and how are you partaking it? Here's the flower rosin I'm going to go in on today.
We got more flower smokers or dabbers watching right now?
I bet we have more flower smokers right now. What's SZMK? What does that stand for? I should know probably, huh? MK.
I'm not certain.
All these acronyms, John, I don't know what that means. Good morning. Cheers, y'all. Sending out some love and good vibes out there to y'all today.
All right, loading up a jar so I don't have to scoop from the big one.
Seduction Zone, Master Kush. Okay.
Oh. Got me vibing now with Snoop's sexual seductions. Oh, come on. Work with me. Dab is fighting me here. Fighting back.
We have a guest coming on, I think, next Saturday. She was going to come in today, but she had already had plans. And so she's going to be on next Saturday. It's the comic book about herbs.
Oh, nice.
Sarah Russo will be on next Saturday with us. Looking forward to that. We had a great conversation on Wednesday with a guy from Twitch. His name's Jake. That was kind of fun. It was nice to meet some other people from different area. He was from the Ukraine. If anybody wants to go back and watch that, we had that last week.
The whole show feels like a dream.
Why, Drake?
Oh, because I was sleeping. That is hilarious.
Good morning, Mike. How are you? Good morning, Keeper of the Strains. Hello. How are you? What are y'all smoking on? Well, let's see. What does chat want to talk about today? Any questions today? What did you guys do for your holidays? Did you have a good holiday? What are you doing for Christmas? I don't even know what I'm doing yet for Christmas. I really want to just stay home. That's my plan.
I don't blame you. You.
But I am probably going to be headed down to Eugene come the first of the year to the Dragonfly home in Eugene. They're not going to be there, but we get to go party in their house without them because of the darn border. So we're going to go have a Dampier party without Josh and Kelly, but they're going to zoom in on that. And that's going to be somewhere around January, first part of January. They've also put some dates out here in December, but I don't think I'm going to make it then. It'll be probably more in January. So looking forward to that. Hanging out with the Dampier crew. Mike says he's smoking on some Kim and sipping on some bud. Ethan, good morning, Ethan. How are you today? Cheers. Moongate, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Well, oh, by the way, forgot to throw the link out in chat. Let me do that. Copy and paste that. Copy link. Here we go. I'm going to paste the Zoom link in chat. We do this every now and then. So if anybody would like to jump on and show us their grow or have any information that they'd like to share with us, we open that up for the community here every Wednesdays and Saturday mornings for the community to get together, unite, and grow. Drake's hacking over there on a good one.
Yeah, a little warm, and that one got me, the pink gas.
There we go, John. Overgrow, overshare, overcare, overseed everywhere worldwide. You should have that on a shirt, John. We should get some shirts made. Let's pin that to the top there. There we go.
Holy smokes, my head's gonna pop.
It is? Mine's not. I haven't smoked enough. I need another one.
Whew.
I need another one.
That's decent, but it's not that insane. This pink gas, it's hash rosin. It's okay. Profile's okay. Consistency, everything's pretty nice, but it's just not the top rack. You know what we're saying. So a little bit of floralness to it, and that time I went a little big and a little warm. So I got to experience nice floral flavors as I'm coughing, which are my least favorite experience. But now I'm going to go in on some. What is it? No, that's a lie. The lid is a lie. It is actually animal sorbet Kush mints. Mix in some Nukin flower rosin, probably. Just because the nose is ever so loud.
Woo. So, can you believe it? We're going to be in the year 2022 already in 1 month.
Yeah, that's pretty wild to think about. That's for sure.
Wow.
Whew. I gotta stir my coffee. I'll be right back.
Good morning, Ian. How are you? Oh, Ian, that was not a good night, Ian. Yeah, I don't do that no more. I don't have, you know what? That's the best part about cannabis. You never wake up with a hangover. At least I never do. On edibles, I'm a little sleepy, but it's not a hangover, right?
Yeah, I get groggy if I eat like 1,000 milligrams plus in the morning, but not too bad. And I'm always feeling great overall.
Yeah. I don't like that hangover stuff. That's, you know, and like, okay, alcohol really is a depressant. And we, at the time we're partaking of it, it's fun. And we think we're getting all this, you know, happiness and stuff out of it. But literally alcohol sits in your body for a long period of time and breaks down. Just like you guys all talk about flushing your plants, right? Do you flush your body? How many of you are flushing your body with water? You know, you drink all that alcohol. You got to remember to partake and flush your bodies with this stuff. So I just care about your health.
What
That's
about
literally why I'm here. I care about you and your health.
all the organic fucking no-tillers are like, I don't flush, I'm fine.
Well, I know, but a lot of people talk about flushing, right?
No, you're making a great point. I shouldn't take away from it.
Yes, you shouldn't.
Oops, I'm a little bother.
I'm gonna come up there and kick your butt.
Well, that's okay. I got the border protecting me for now.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll be happy the day you can come up here and kick my butt. We've been waiting.
Alcohol hits you like a gremlin.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, turn into the gremlin.
Yeah. My stomach turns into the gremlins, that's for sure. I have lots of pain and acid reflux and all the fun stuff after. It's something that I noticed go away immediately after stopping drinking. So that was good. And then for myself personally, it definitely was not helping the mental health overall, because I like them twisted teas and the Hayals and the American vintage and all those iced tea, vodka, sort of malted, whatever drinks. And yeah, lots of sugar and just not very good for you. But easy enough to sneak 6 of them into you. So I prefer the cannabis, which benefits me overall instead of hinders me overall.
Marshall says edible hangover is like waking up with a wake and bake without smoking.
Yeah, you skip the smoke, but you still have to wait to bake.
John says no flesh there. I know, no flesh. You don't have to, but
No
you
flush
should
zone.
flush your body. Flush your body. Lots of water. Cheers. I drink jar. I like to use a jar because it actually helps me like know how much I drink, how much water, rather than just glasses. I don't know why a jar works for me. Ooh, are we ready for another one?
I'm just loading it up and thinking about
Alcohol
it.
affects GABA, which is the pleasure chemical. Over time, your GABA receptors become desensitized to the excess GABA. Thus, you have to drink to experience. Oh, I didn't know that. To experience pleasure.
I mean, with most things, it's that will definitely have.
Desensitizes you.
Yeah, the down.
I could see how it would desensitize. Yeah, it does desensitize you because you drink to kind of forget about your problems, or you drink because kind of drinks it away a little bit or so.
And just like as your body gets used to it, it takes more and more to get to the same levels. I mean, it's very similar in all fields. Like say with us, I'm sure when we first dabbed, we weren't dabbing 3 grams a day the very first time you tried it, but then you finally get to a level, you get to your threshold. And with cannabis, of course, it's a little bit different because we treat it as our medicine and it's beneficial, but you get the same kind of thing and the same down regulations and so on and so forth with different substances. And that's why if you use specific substances for many days in a row, you can really see those negative results start to pool quickly because it'll eventually make it so your body doesn't produce the things it used to produce anymore. It don't need to. So our body's smart. It takes the path of least resistance. We're very, adaptable creatures. We were recently talking about the background. If you're doing a bunch of hard labor and hard work, your hands harden up really quick. Like, couple months and you're going to stop having all those calluses and blisters and stuff if you're doing hard digging ditches every day. But if you stop for a couple months and you go back to a regular day like that, your hands are going to be destroyed because we're adaptable creatures. Our body goes, okay, we don't need to be super leathery on our hands anymore. Maybe we want to be more sensitive so we can feel more and vice versa. You swim a whole lot, you start to be a little bit different. We can see that with those specific tribes that are, their lung capacities are even something like 10 or 12 minutes or something crazy. It's really cool to see how adaptable we can be though overall. But yeah, lots of things work in a negative way. So got to be careful. Even as coffee, can't have too much of this in you. But don't tell me that.
But I do like the fact that when from stop drinking to now is like, I don't have blackouts. I remember everything. I don't make stupid decisions.
That's a plus. Yep.
Those were all things that I felt like afterwards and I felt like the alcohol really like, I never got a good night's sleep when I drank. I was always like awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, if I, or 4 or 5, I woke up early and I was always like, just not feeling well. It was just a really weird feeling. And it's not until you quit it for a long period of time, I think you notice it, right?
Yeah, I would say with most things. I even when I was much younger went through a pretty substantial, well, for me, pretty substantial. It was like 3 months tolerance break just from cannabis in general, just going through all the standard back and forth in my head about the stigmas and so on and so forth. And after a certain amount of time, you really start to realize what things are just part of your natural tendencies and what things are actually affected by third-party sources. And with myself, I got to realize, hey, I'm still doing all this shit that I was mad at myself for doing because I'm, using cannabis. Hell, I haven't used cannabis for months, so I guess I got a little something else to blame. My goodness, so I had to look a little bit deeper. But then luckily I was able to then, start to incorporate that back into my daily routine, and it really improves my daily point of life. With the ADD, it's just a son of a gun. I don't like the Concerta and amphetamine roots, and with the back pain, with the IBS especially, it's crazy how much it helps with just stomach pain and just being uncomfortable. It's really nice in the morning, nice big dab. Even and yeah, we got a mushroom blend right there.
Yeah, I forgot to add my mushrooms in my coffee. I was just like, oh, gotta do it. I have it sitting right here on my desk so that I remember to do it. I normally pull this into a jar, but I just left it in a bag this time. This is what it looks like. So that's about how much I put in my coffee. There we go. Heaping tablespoon into the coffee. There we go. There you go. CLC.
Nice.
And I swear, like if you're taking medicinal mushrooms on top of psychedelic, it is crazy how it accentuates and helps it.
There we go. Rishi, Cordyceps, Shaga, Messima, Lion's Mane, Turkey Tail, Mitaki Shaki, Blazy, Poria, Agaricon. Good luck saying that. Oyster mushrooms, true Tinder polypore.
There you go.
I'm curious what that one was, third from the bottom, that I couldn't even try to pronounce. That's and a couple of the ones that I horribly mispronounced. But
the future of mushrooms, I think, is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
The future of fungi.
Yeah, can't wait. Good morning, Worthy Buzz. How are you?
Cheers.
It's time to dab.
It's dab time.
Time for another dab. I'm stirring in my mushrooms. And gonna take a dab. Are you ready for a dab? Let's do this. Anybody jump on here and hang out with us today? Good morning, Mark. Hello. How are you? Nice to see you in here today. Nice to see all you in here today. Nice hanging out with you guys. Bingo's bonging on. Is it time to bong on? Let's do it. We need to get Darren back on here. Speaking of bong rips.
I think he said around Christmas time he's gonna be back and down to do some heavy session and puffing and catching up and letting everyone.
Yeah, I saw him on Instagram. Yeah. Need to get some of our friends back on here. Has some updates. Boy, Johnny's looking good. Johnny B's lost a lot of weight. He's doing really good. I'm proud of him. Looking nice.
I've been on the sideline doing the push-ups with him every day. If everyone didn't know, he's doing a certain amount of push-ups every day. You can tailor it however you want. I think Bingo's doing 60 push-ups for 60 days.
Oh, is that Bingo's doing? Nice job, Bingo. I think I did read that. That's right. Good for you guys. I think that's awesome. I think everybody needs to kind of challenge themselves to do something, but don't do something that your body can't do yet. Start off small. Some people start off so big. Somebody started off with too many push-ups and hurt their back. We won't name any names, but let's listen to ourselves. I did not start off with push-ups. I did not do any push-ups because I know my arm and my shoulder, I am recovering from a pain that I had this summer growing. I had awful pain
for months.
And I'm finally recovering from that. I must have tore something in my shoulder. I know what I was probably doing and what I did. And I think I tore something, and now it's much better, but I'm not going to jump right in and start doing something on that. I really need to let it heal, especially the older we get. Unfortunately, our bodies don't heal as fast. So we also have to keep that in mind. Good morning, T. How are you? Bonging on with Bingo. You would watch that podcast. I know, Mark. If I'd ever get Bingo on my show, we've hung out before, but he doesn't love me anymore.
Where's the love, Bingo?
Zorro, how are you? Cheers, man. You get arm cramps from lifting the bong. Is that what it is? That's a good one. I like that. All right, I'm heating up. Going in for another.
Yeah, I ended up just going with the animal sorbet Cushmans. And it's nice. It's heavy. I don't know about sorbet and I don't know about mints, but definitely some Kush, maybe some animal in there. I don't know, but a little louder, heavy, hits you between the eyes, a little bit of that funk, somewhat fuely vibes to it. Kind of leaves that sour / bitter / I don't know, florally shop cleaner aftertaste in your mouth. It's a very interesting one. It's got some of those vibes, but it's not super hazy or chemi at all. It's more just there's a rag of some old oil that you had to suck on for some odd reason, and it was left in the dirt, so you're getting quite a bit of floralness out of it. And yeah, it's very interesting, but good effects. And it was made from dried flour, not cured, I don't believe, but it was certainly dried for I think 14 days or so. Yeah, still pretty light, pretty nice.
Cool.
Getting a little bit of the terp.
I really need to get to bubbling. Oh, that looks yummy, Drake. That looks really good.
Camera won't pick it up, but you can kind of see a little bit of the terp sheen going on.
Yeah, that looks good.
Group sweats.
Cheers.
Cheers, Tara. Yeah, it's been an adventure in this place for the last week. Gone and pretty well redone the flower room in a sense. Removed
Drake,
all the
you harvested and everything. Let's hear an update.
Yeah, I guess the last time I tuned in post harvest, I was not myself. I think I only made it for 20 minutes or half an hour before I checked out of the building. I was pretty exhausted. I was just off of it was like 21.5 hours of work. And so that wasn't ideal. And talking about health, not the best thing to do. But when you get to those circumstances where you have to act now, there's not really any other choices. So if you can put the work in, maybe do it, maybe don't. Get help if you can. But nonetheless, harvest time was coming up. I was planning to harvest in a couple days post to when I did. I had to change one of the inputs I made. Instead of adding our JMS, because it was right at the end of the flower, we just wanted to add in the salt value, but not the JMS. I had a repairman with my drying machine because one of the actual shafts broke. So I went to replace the bearing. I was like, oh, the shaft is broken. So I needed a guy to come in, and my buddy was here, Cam, helping me out. But we had multiple things on the go. So I was definitely, mind all over the place, even though I have my laid out calendar. That's very thorough and fantastic. There's still, I still find little tiny cracks to make errors. So I made a big boo-boo and added, essentially it'd be like the value of using like a straight JMS. So I added far too much salt is what it comes down to. It wouldn't have been, let's say, the end all, the end of the world, no coming back from it type thing. You can treat it in a multitude of ways. One of the ways that we were thinking would be obviously just in a standard hydro system. If you mess up, if someone puts in the wrong nutrients, you can run pretty well a liter of water per liter of soil or per medium, flush it all out, test everything, make sure you're running really low numbers in your runoff, and then you can start from essentially a inert medium again because you've washed everything out of it. Now, living soil beds and the system we're doing, it would have been a nightmare because there's a lot of soil. I think there's overall we moved like 2,500, like over a ton of soil. So there's a fair amount. I don't know exactly the amount, but a 4x8, 232 by 32 beds in there. And to be able to flush all that water through and use like a shop vac and suck it out and blah, 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 wouldn't have been the best. And then also I wouldn't have been certain, even with testing the EC, of exactly what was left. Now, because I've been implementing these JDAM practices the last year and a bit, and I had made all my beds for indoor prior to any of that, I made them under our past way of growing, and that would be more like the shout out Tribal Gardens, but it was a subcool kind of Coots kind of super soil blend. There's a seedling and a ready hot mix to plant larger plants into. So I had done two of my beds like that, and then one of the first ever 32-inch bed that I had tried, I made that with like the Tad Hussey amendment kit, like that style. So it was, chock full of different inputs mixed together, proven to work really nicely with cannabis, generally for at least a cycle or two with, essentially just water only, which is fantastic. But with the principles that we're doing, like Jadam specifically, it's kind of hard to implement that into a indoor kind of ready-made super soil system because that soil is made to work on its own, and then eventually you'll start top dressing specific things and going down the traditional way of doing it. So we're working on this as a team, right? There's quite a few of us, and myself and Tara are having meetings every single day, and there's more people that are involved with that. And it would have been really nice from the start to have fresh soil and start it in the Jadam way, which means either use my indigenous soil here, or if we're going to make one just to start, essentially we just have a soil with 30% organic matter and a specific amount of our azomite, our rock dust in there, phyllite specifically if you have access, but we use azomite, A to Z minerals, the azomite. And from there, we don't add any other inputs. We built the soil. I took ProMix specifically because that's what we have access to, and it's repeatable. I've used it many times before, and I'm able to, at least have the repeatability, which is specific. Tara, your face is hilarious. I mixed I can only imagine the comment you read. I mixed the worm castings, organic worm castings, 30% with the ProMix, then add in azomite. I had made a JLF, which is putting leaf mold soil in water, 20 liters with 2 kilos of azomite. It's 1 to 10. Pretty much 2 days after that, I needed that azomite. So then I got to siphon all the water off, take all the clumpy azomite from the bottom, mix it with Pro-Mix in a specific amount so I could get it back into like a powdered form. So then I could add it all to the medium evenly. So that was like a little run around I did for myself, but without going too rabbit hole-y, which I already am and so love to do. Took Pro-Mix, mix it with 30% worm castings, add in azomite, mix the soils together, add them into the beds, roughly 12 inches tall soil, settled to 10 inches or so, and then hit it with the foundational applications immediately. So as soon as I got all the other soil out via 5-gallon buckets, thank you, Cam, helping so much. Then we made new soil inside the room in the big beds. I was able to treat it with the foundational applications, which is our higher amounts of our Jadam microbial solution and our liquid fertilizer. We use the grass clippings, the weed one, the most prominent one, vigorous grass and weed clippings. And we also used the rock dust. So anyways, those get added to water. I set up a spray unit so that instead of using 1 gallon measuring cups and pouring it in and making a pretty, even if I'm being gentle with it, it makes a decent little pool, and it's kind of tough on the surface of your soil, right? You're pouring a stream of water that's going to just erode. It's no good for anything. So I set up the Petra sprayer I have, and I was able to hit up the dual tip. So it's just got if my arm is the hose, it's got 2 tips and they both shoot out. I took off the actual misters so that it's just open at probably 1/4 of an inch diameter. And because the Petra sprayer itself is not designed to be a hose, it's designed to be a pressure sprayer, it was able to nicely apply water over the beds at a rate of 8.5 minutes per 25 liters. So for the 200, I think we did, it was either, let's say 250 or 300. It's in my calendar, but my memory is fleeting, as we all know. But we put in about 250 to 300 liters. And that was done based off of 8.5 minutes per every 25 liters. So then I could do it even spread. I did the beds in little chunks so that I just had really nice application, and then it's able to drip in, because that's kind of the main thing when you're doing the foundational application. I believe Young Sang says it's about 90 minutes or something along those lines is how long you want the drip system to take to apply all of your foundation, and that's so that it soaks nice and deep and evenly, and you're able to get the best possible application for the job. So I did that as well. One thing I did fast forward from is as soon as I realized, within an hour or two of making that mistake, that the mistake was made, I jumped on a meeting right away again and talked it out, and we panicked, and I was like, oh my God, Tara, killed everything. This is no good. I gotta get in the grow now. We were supposed to have a talk with someone else. And yeah, I was just like, sorry, not happening. So got in there, harvested, which is fine because I'm running the black garlic. Shout out Jordan of the Islands, Vancouver Island here. Also bred the God Bud, I believe. I might look into that soon because I've been hearing good things and haven't had it for a while. But shout out Jordan for that. And it's a 55 to 65 day finisher generally. And I was already on day 72. I was planning to take it to 75, but 72 was just fine. So without allowing time to work against us, I harvested the plants immediately. The grow tent prior to harvesting the dry tent prior to harvesting, we got our Tatmo, the little meters I've been praising. We got 2 of those in my 4x8 tent. I turned on all my appliances. I got everything set up, make sure the environment was good. And it was around 55. Humidity was the only issue. But as soon as I got plants in, it was then able to bring the humidity rate up to where we want. And now since we've started drying, it's another thing I'm super happy on because the improvements are just fantastic. The drying environment is pretty much between 60 and 62. At the beginning, we did have it dip it down to 58 a little bit, 59, 58, but it's mainly sitting between 60 to 62 constantly in the drying tent. And then the first 2 days, we didn't do any tests, but now every day since then, because today will be the 5th day, I believe, or 6th or something along those lines, 4th, I don't know, they all run together. But we've done 2 tests already, so it's probably the 5th day today. And that is every morning at a certain time, I'll go in, check the meters, make sure my garage, so where the tent's inside the garage, make sure the garage is less than 63% humidity. Otherwise, it would skew the test. As long as my lung room is lower than that, I turn off all the appliances in the drying tent. Then we watch the meters and we see how many minutes it takes for the wet bud to bring the dry tent up to 63. So far from 61 to 63 the first day, it took about half an hour. It's like 30 minutes or so. And the second test, it was about 45 to 55 minutes, almost an hour. So we can see even from now just how much longer it's taking to bring the room to that, because it's starting to get more acclimated and more even overall. So by the end of, say, day 15 or 17, we should do that test. And after 12 hours, it should never bring the tent over, say, 62% humidity. Once it never brings it over that for 12 hours or however many hours we designate to work with, we will then know that we can trim it, put it in jars, and we don't have to worry about burping or having it sweat because it's already been dried properly. From this point on, we can cure. And don't get me wrong, we will still certainly have hygrometers in every jar in case a certain, bud or certain part of the dry tent wasn't quite as, in sync, and thus could potentially bring that humidity up to 63, which is now high range for molds and mildews to build. Anything really over 58 can be problematic. So that's why a small craft home growers can really get that next level product, because we can kind of do our curing and drying at those kind of tedious levels where, say, investors wouldn't want a large company. So above 58, it's a little bit risky, up to 62, but then you get that bang in product and all the terps. But what do you have there, Tara?
I wanted to talk about these thermostat humidity things. This one's, not working because batteries are out. But
those are exactly what I was talking about.
So my friend ordered some and I had some. His were a year old. I have another ones that are a year old, and I have my brand new ones. My brand new ones and my year-old ones were reading the same. He brought his over, and they were like 10 degrees off. 10,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
10 percentages, like humidity, 10% off. That's a lot when it comes to like storing your weed or your medicine or whatever you want to call it, cannabis. I'm a little worried about that. Like, I don't know.
100%.
This is just, and so batteries, like you need to put new batteries in these things. These are all things that like, what are we doing with these things? And like, how are we storing them? And so what I did is I started writing when I got them. See, this one I put a little black mark on. That was the first batch I bought. And now I write the date on the back of them when I buy them. So then I know that I did it. But like you could also, change the batteries and it wouldn't be okay. But like I have plenty of them now. Now I need batteries.
So with those, because they are frankly very unreliable throughout all of them, and I've used a lot of them, used them constantly. They're great reference points, but you really need to kind of get a good parameter of where they sit based off of reality, let's say. A cool thing to do is, say if you have the Integras or the Bovita, the hold your humidity packs. They're two-way regulator, right? If your product's a little too dry, they can help. If it's a little too wet, they can help. But honestly, it's not really for either. It's to hold it at the precise humidity. And ideally, you have the temperatures regulated so that it's not being adulterated. And then they are pretty much doing nothing aside from keeping it completely precise. If there is any sort of fluctuation throughout the jar, they will mitigate that. And there's no stealing or giving flavors or whatever. But that's a whole nother can of worms. But nonetheless, if you have one of those Bovita packs, I'll just go with because they're fresh in my mind. Let's say the 58%, I believe they're supposed to be 60 grams. That's something I never really used to think about. But now, again, having a better understanding, dealing with other people that have been in the industry for a long time, they're like, well, how do you know your Bovita is actually at 58? Well, fuck, it says 58 on it. What do you mean? Well, no, it's not quite that easy, because especially when we're in a home environment, there's a lot of room for improper practices. So for the Bovitas, you want to take out a precise scale, whichever scale you have access to, put on the pack onto the scale, and it should weigh that exact 60 grams. If it weighs less than 60 grams, well, yes, there's a little bit lacking moisture, and you're going to be below 58. Now, if it weighs like 62, 65 grams, it's holding a lot of moisture. Most people are going to have Bovitas that feel really nice and squishy. You put them on the pack or on the scale, and they're going to be a little heavy. This is generally because most of us take our product down while it's still a little bit wet, mostly dry, but not quite. Then we do the burping, very common practice, but that means there's a little bit too much moisture in there. So if you use a Bovita pack at the same time, it's going to remove that moisture. When it does said removal of moisture, it doesn't just take it and dissipate it out the back door that doesn't exist. It holds on to it. So then every so often you need to take your Bovita packs, weigh them. If they're too much, you now need to leave them in an environment that's less humidity, ideally slightly less. So if you want to bring it to 58, don't put them in a 45 and then just keep trying to guess it, which you totally could do by weighing it, but just leave them in an environment that's about 58%, aka your veg or your grow if you can adulter it, and let them sit for a while. Another thing you can do, I've heard, haven't done yet, is when they start to get a little too dry and you say you've had them for a couple seasons, you start to feel the salt in them a little bit, or the insides, and you can actually use distilled water, 0 ppm water, and give them a little soak in that water. I've heard you can do that, rehydrate them, dry them out properly, and then get them in that room again. That's say 58, 62, whatever your percentage is, let them sit for a day and acclimate, then weigh it again. And now you're certain of the weight and the humidity of the pack. Why is this fucking guy telling us about how to make sure our Bovita packs are on point? Well, it has to do with the hygrometer that Tara was just showing. Once you know it's on point, you can put that Bovita pack in a QP or in a sandwich bag, add a little bit of oxygen. That's something I didn't really realize either, but it needs some air in there for it to actually work. If it's all super sealed, it doesn't work properly. So add a little air, then throw a couple or your one hygrometer in there, wait an hour. Does the hygrometer read what you know the pack is? Is it plus or minus? Then on the back, as Tara so wittingly did with your date, you can also write your plus or minus to what reality is. So you find out it's 58, you put it in there, it says 56, you're plus or minus either the percentage it's off or 2 degrees. And then same thing, if it's reading 65, well, it's supposed to be 58. You know, it's very easy to do it, but it's a bit of a process that you wouldn't maybe think of.
How I've rehydrated them, I didn't use distilled water. You're supposed to use distilled water because of, you know, because you want it to be sterile in a container. So I put it in a baggie, which is sterile, right? Baggie and Ziploc baggie. And then I just put water in it and I just let it sit like overnight or a day or whatever. And it just like both of them, Boost and Bovita, both softened back up for me. Now, do I know what they weighed and do I know the exact humidity? No, I didn't do all that. I really didn't, but now I know.
Well, it's something that's new to me as well. And like, I want to express, like, it's very simple. And I wouldn't have thought of that unless someone told me. Most likely some of us.
You can also use, like make your own if you wanted to. You know those little balls that people put in with your flowers? They puff up. They're like little plastic balls. That's what those are. And some of that stuff, those silicone ball things, they puff up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know the name for them, but I believe I do. And then there's the opposite, like we're all thinking like the desiccant
flowers and their vases and stuff. Those little balls, and they get really, really small. And it's crazy. Like them, like at the dollar store, you can buy that shit. What if that worked to put a whole bunch in your tent? If you were having problem with humidity, I don't know. Interesting. I have to think about that.
Seal it. If you're having a problem with humidity, seal it somehow. And if you can't, well, then you're most likely just going to have those problems to work with. That's what I'm doing in veg right now. I have got a quasi veg system. It's being changed right away.
Hello to chat real quick. Hello,
yes, please do.
Thanks for jumping in. Hello, Minds Wide Open. How are you? Good morning. What's up? Are y'all puffing with us this morning? I saw Lemon Hoko jumped in. You guys have been, I love it. You guys have been really keeping chat rolling. And I think it's awesome that you guys are communicating back and forth to one another. It really makes me happy that you come in and you say hello to one another in here. Drake and I are just like ecstatic about that. We love it because it really makes us feel like we're helping build the community and connecting one another. And that's what it's about. So thanks everybody. Cheers. And let's take a dab. Go ahead, Drake.
Well, I'm dabbing now. I'm sidetracked. I got to get into it, and then we'll see if I can remember what I was even going to start rambling about next. Yeah, I can definitely.
I'm also going to leave the chat open for 15 minutes after Zoom. As soon as we jump off here, I'll leave it open for at least 15, maybe even longer. If you guys want to jump on and hang out for a little while, you're all welcome to jump on after the live. Just want to throw that out. Go ahead, Drake.
The veg, that's what it was. See if I can dab and remember to talk about the veg. What's happening?
Veg it out. Someone said, where can I get Jordan of the Isle in the States? That's what I saw. I knew there was a question. I'm like, where did I see a question? There was a question.
I think like Jordan of the Island stock. CA probably, because we're Canada. I think he ships to the States, but I'm not positive.
Oh, yes.
Maybe I'm wrong actually, because I think I remember someone in the Lemon group bringing that up. So maybe I should be careful. I think I'm putting my foot in my mouth. He may not ship, but double check his
maybe
website.
Drake will.
Drake is quick. Drake knows he's horrible at shipping and getting things done. And it's more like not horrible at shipping, but it's horrible at making time that I don't have because everything runs together. So I'm not going to be overly, chomping at the bit to sign up to shipping orders out, so on and so forth. But if we do come across a bridge and find that it can't be shipped for whatever reason, I'm sure we can come up with a way to get that gear out in general. Because come on, they're just seeds. They're souvenirs.
Souvenirs. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying it.
There's a new video out on YouTube that I was going to recommend. So I'll let you tell about veg, and then we will talk about that. Because I also like to throw out like little videos and stuff that I find intriguing that I think you guys might like. So go ahead, Drake.
All right. Let's jump on into it. So I guess the veg as it is now, it's a quasi system. It's kind of one of those, if it ain't broken, why fix it situations, but it shouldn't necessarily work. The setups, the standard setups are either what? You have a intake and exhaust, and you are cycling the air throughout your grow room every minute, roughly, something along those lines, I believe. Maybe I'm off a minute, but I believe it's every minute you want to cycle the air out. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 3. Not super, not right on point, but yeah, you get the point. You want to be cycling that air every specific amount of time, and it's pretty quick. And that's kind of the conventional way to do things if you don't have a sealed system and you don't have problems. The way to mitigate the issues you would have, say, venting into a house or into your garage or outdoors or wherever you're not going to have proper humidity is to set up a lung room. So you can vent into a lung room that's, say, roughly a third plus the size of the whole space. Then when you're having your exhaust and intake, your intake will have a carbon scrubber on it, so you're not pulling any dirty air from the lung room in. And your exhaust will have some sort of a HEPA filter or something on it just to, again, reduce contamination in and out. But in the lung room, you can have a humidifier if so needed, or a dehumidifier, which is more likely what's needed. All this does, like, you'll have to set up a pretty sealed lung room. It's gonna, like, no matter what, you have to have this space set off so that you can get the humidity up in a certain area, or at least what I'm going to do. Let's not say what everyone else has to do. Let's just go through with what I'm going to do, and everyone can put their own little lovely spins and twists on it, or give the input on what they've done, because we love to hear back firsthand experience. So what I'm doing is setting up that lung room, trying to set it up so it's sealed, so I can bring up the humidity in said lung room to where I want it. I will have the carbon scrubber on the intake from lung room to grow room, so that I'm not bringing in any dirty air, because I'll have a poly or plastic zipper to get in from my main, let's say, living room or house area into the lung room, then another one to go into the flower room. So I can kind of have a 2-step process and make sure every zipper, like the one's closed before the next one. And it's one step further for just building out of poly and 2x4s, really easily removable setups inside of a place, right? Or inside of a shed, somewhere where you're not actually just turning the whole place itself into a proper, semi-facility or so on and so forth, even just running tents inside. So nonetheless, setting up the grow room or the lung room so that it'll have the proper humidity, having the intake and exhaust holes, having a solid fan that can move the amount of CFM we need it to, a little bit extra capability so that it's not having to tax itself constantly, can work at maybe, say, 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, prolong the device itself. Then we'll have it so that it's exchanging the air, like I said, most likely every minute or so, but the humidity in the lung room will be appropriate. We'll have the humidifier if I need. I'm hoping I won't need that because it's going to be more sealed than my current system. The current system doesn't have a lung room. It's mostly sealed to 2 inches from the roof, but then I've got stucco ceiling. It's like the same here. It's got all that, it's like textured white. You're very, everyone's familiar with it. But if you put a blemish or you do anything to it, there's no fixing one spot. There's contractors that are very talented that can kind of, art it up and make it work. But overall, you're finding a seam, you're adding a seam, you're replacing a whole section. And just like we did a lot of like, I was a tile setter for quite a few years prior to being, more cannabis focused. And yeah, we did a lot of bathroom renos, and that's just, don't get grout on the damn roof or you're redoing the roof for the customer. That's kind of, you just, don't mess it up. So anyways, in hopes of not doing that here, I've achieved not doing that. I set up framing an inch below the roof horizontally, because it's very easy to patch a couple little holes on the wall and paint it, but not when it's the stucco ceiling. So I set up the framing around the edge, put my Panda film up to it, and I've got just that one little inch or so to the top of the roof that is open. So air can, leave or be sucked in through there. The way the system's set up, air is leaving through it because it's got a little bit of positive pressure in the room. Positive pressure is good. You want that because that means when you open the doors and everything, it will blow the pests out, blow the pathogens out, so on and so forth. At least help with that. If you have negative pressure, it means it wants to suck inside. If your tent has like the walls are sucking in, that means as soon as you open it, everything's pulling in, and it wants to pull contaminant from every single little imperfection in your tent or in your grow room. So if you can get positive pressure, that's another great thing to try and achieve. So nonetheless, I guess on top of that, if we're able to, I'd also like to try and have the highest amount of pressure in the back of my room, and then to the lung room, it'll be less pressure. And then in my house area, hopefully the least pressure. So each time I open it, it's going to blow the air out. But anyways, I have that open spot now, and I'm not cycling the air. I don't have an exhaust that's active all the time. I do have it set up so if the room ever gets too hot, I have a AC Infinity T6 that'll turn on briefly and exhaust a little bit. But because I'm trying to keep humidity up, I'm not able to exhaust constantly. But I was able to set it up with a ton of fans. Like I'm talking a whole ton of airflow. I got a couple humidifiers, and I suppose that is pretty much the meat and potatoes to keep it at, say, 55 to 65% humidity. And the temperature is pretty close to like 28, 29 degrees, even 30 gets close to, and that's when my fan will dump it out because that's getting a little bit too spicy. But nonetheless, I would prefer to have it around 70, 75% and maybe 84. So like 27, 26 degrees, even 27. But that just wasn't a possibility. So I'm going to try to change and get closer to those parameters, but at least go from this quasi not sealed, not vented room to a proper vented space with a lung room that I can hopefully get the humidity up in. And we're going to come across more issues when we get there, but this way I'll most likely have a better setup. And a mini split is potentially something that I'm not ruling out, because just with where it's positioned, I don't have a very good spot to put the outside portion of the mini split, but you can run them a decent distance away. So I might try and set up a mini split. And if I do that, because we're running the power calcs of the house, it looks like I should be able to. And then I could just have a sealed room, hell with the lung room, and not the hell with the lung room, but the hell with having to do it in the same sense. You could still have it so that there's a protection for going into the bedroom, one level, close the zipper, then go in. But overall, that would be the best option, because when you have the sealed room with the mini split, I can just completely seal in, even with the 6 mil poly, an area. And then we're going to be able to get the CO2 up, which is super important, because without it being sealed, no matter what you do, temperature, humidity, and everything, even if you're adding CO2 with like a burner or bag or whatever your method is, you're going to be wasting so much of it as it's exhausted out every time. And it's a little bit pointless. So we would love to get it to that point where all the numbers are up, so we can watch our CO2 with the meter, the temperature on point, the humidity on point, and then watch our light as well, and make sure that as the plants are growing, we can have the specific amount of lux or par, PPFD, whatever way you want to look at it, on said plants as they grow.
Don't forget to lube your tent zippers. A little beeswax makes it much better. Ahmed's giving some tips out there. You boys and your lube, get that lube going. I
had never heard someone say that before. That's I'm like, of course. I mean, why not? As long as it can,
what also works is soap.
Clean.
Soap works.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking already really like AWA.
Like the old glycerin soap, like the bar soap. You can use bar soap. You can also use it like if you have here's an old thing, like the old dressers and old wooden drawers. You put wax right down here, and you can just take candle wax, old candle wax, the bottom of your wax, and you put it on here, and it makes your drawers slide in and out really, really easy. And so it would be the same on your zippers. Old candle wax, if you got old candles, any of that type of stuff, that's what you use. Yeah. Kind of interesting. So anyways, thanks for that update, Drake. Thanks for joining us, everybody, today. It's been an awesome chat. Love hanging out with all you. Ahmed, Travis O'Connor came in the house. Who else did I miss? Pevin Rivers in here. I know I missed some other people. Stillbird, did I say hi to you? There was another one in here. There was a new person, Yak Dak or something like that. I saw that. We got Big. You made it. Big's always tuning in after the show. He's always saying, I missed it again. Nice to see you. Red River was in today. Oh,
when you say Doc, I just did that quality assurance course and like for auditing and all that shenanigans for just like the Canadian regulations and so on and so forth. But I think it's a good thing to know, just because as Canada's looked up to quite a bit overall, the regulations that they impose and work with are things that are going to be used as platforms and templates for all over the place. So getting very familiar with that is never going to hurt. Not necessarily jumping into anything right along those lines. But we'll have to see. I think it's very beneficial overall. But nonetheless, the reason I bring it up is because the professor, our dean, actually of the school that happened to teach one of our courses, called me Drock for my name. So it just wasn't about the pronunciation.
And just called you
Drock the whole time. Yeah, just out of respect, I wasn't finna tell her that it was the wrong way of pronunciation. So it was pretty funny. You just mentioned it. So yeah, I was Drock for 4 days.
Drock. Cool. That's funny. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys. This is those after school special ones. Let me just share the chat, the page. Let's see. Okay, so it's this after school page is what it is, and this one is the Alan Watts and Inkart Toll. Did I say that wrong? Tolley, is his name Toll or Tolley? How do you say it? I know who he is now because I've done a little bit of research, because I actually didn't know who this guy was. I forgot to hit my thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up when y'all are watching YouTube channels. It helps us, because there's people that are not very nice to us, and they, follow around, want to do that hate shit. But anyways, this one, What Lies Beyond the Mind, is a really, I started watching it, and I'm going to copy it right now. And then as soon as we go off air, I would love for you guys all to watch that sometime this week, because I'm kind of thinking it'd be kind of fun to watch like some of these things together, or watch them through the week and then have a conversation about it, come together and have a conversation about it the following week. I think it'd be kind of fun, kind of like a book club, but like a video club. And so this is something I want to start, because I kind of love to watch these videos, and every time they put one out, I think it's a really awesome website, or not a website, a YouTube channel to support. So I want to start shouting out certain YouTube channels. So if you guys want to go follow them, I'll throw that out here in chat for you in a minute. Any closing thoughts, and anybody have any final questions for us today? I love hanging out with y'all. I'm going to be here for a bit afterwards. So if you want to jump in after we're live, off air, you can jump in. Drake, any final words or thoughts? Let's take a dab.
Just thanks for tuning in. I'll definitely jump into one more dab, and excited to get at it and see where we go. I'll be transplanting and doing all that fun stuff pretty soon, the next few days, and freeze dryer setup. And we got so much stuff on the go still. It seems like we're a million miles an hour.
It is a million miles an hour. And I'm going to have some amazing interviews coming up here pretty soon, because there's a lot of people that I've been working with behind the scenes, but we've just a lot of things going on, and everything's too busy right now. Everybody's still in the middle of that harvest. Everybody's still super, super busy, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the back door. I will not be supporting the regenerative conference. The person running it, I will not support anymore. I'm just throwing that out there. If anybody else would like to know any more information on that, I'm not going to badmouth them. But if you'd like to know off air, I'd be happy to chat about it. Unfortunately, the person leading the conference just really isn't regenerative anymore, and we'll leave it softly. So cheers, let's take a dab. Almost 80 Fahrenheit there yesterday, John. Holy cow. It's warm here, I think, today. The sun is out right now. Just came out. Drake's going cheers. I cannot believe the weather. Drake actually got snow today. We didn't get snow. Our weather's normally like Drake's. But wow, I can't believe the year we're having. It is crazy. The weather is like,
Snow.
if I had a heated greenhouse, I could have grown. I could have been growing right now.
Snow today, fucking like -3 or something, -2 or 3 yesterday. Sorry about the Celsius, but that's what you're all getting.
That's okay.
And the day before that, 16 degrees. The day before that, like 4 degrees and freezing at night. It just didn't, it's crazy. Very, very unpredictable. But it has slowly been getting more and more unpredictable. So it's not like it's just went from being the same to like this. So it's things are definitely, changing, but it's changing in time. It's been like here like 25 years where I've really noticed a difference.
Snow shoveling awaits Ahmed. Oh, well, here's to your snow shoveling.
I snuck out. I took advantage of our tardiness this morning and had the pooch out and was scraping the snow and hunting for the ducks. And thankfully, the ducks finally stopped protesting and we're just standing in the shed looking at the snow instead of being on the neighbor's house or out across the highway stopping fucking 5-ton trucks from crossing the road because the ducks just don't care. They're little sugar badger ducks.
Gotta love them ducks.
That being said, most of the time I just see people like pulled over on the road taking pictures because if you haven't been on a farm or you haven't like, been in the country a whole bunch, like Muscovy ducks are not very familiar to people, the kind of ducks I have. They're in between a goose and a duck. And it kind of, they're more related to geese than ducks. And they have that weird look and they, Dabs, the boys get up to about 15 pounds. Whereas like the average drake or little duck that the person sees is like a small little, like 3-pound, 5-pound little duck at the pool. So these ones, Dabs, he's a fat boy. He's got some waddle to him. He looks kind of like a dinosaur. He doesn't make bird noises. He just goes like, you're like, what the fuck is that? It's like I have delivery drivers that won't even come up to my walkway at night because they just hear something hissing at them and they don't know what it is. But yeah, a lot of times if people just pulled over taking pictures of them. So that's pretty funny. So they're not necessarily disrupting the neighborhood too much, not shutting down the road too often, but they get around.
Gotta love those ducks. Gotta love them. All right, y'all, have an amazing day. If you don't come hang out with us after the live, love to see your face if you'd like to just jump in here and say hello. But if not, I know you got a busy day. You probably got lots going on. I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate sharing your time with us. I wanted to show out one more video in the chat. I'm going to put that link in chat right now. Paste. Here is that link. If you all want to go over and watch that video, if you hit that, it'll take you directly there. So go watch that if you want. And I'm going to chat about it on the next show a little bit with a little bit of a follow-up. And Drake, any final thoughts?
Peace and love, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. We shit the bed, but always be on live chat instead of top chat, so you're not getting filtered out. If you're, keep that in mind for next time. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And as Tara said, make communications within, throughout each other. Let's get those mycelial threads throughout the community, those, hypothetical ones going. And even if there's maybe not the, if you're not gaining the most just from listening to me blab on, hopefully you can meet someone that you've got, aligned views with, and then you can take that conversation to your own levels. And then maybe you can both come on or all you come on and we'll talk together. So that's what we're all about. Hopefully we can just build a community together and grow together. So much love, everyone.
Very well said. Peace and love, y'all. Have a good day.